Paddy probably destined for each other now at this point.
Destined for each other, like to fight again?
Yes.
No. He's, I think it's crazy what
He walked into the White House card as an underdog with nothing to lose, and he walked out as the man who ended an empire. Justin Gaethje doesn't do things the easy way. He never has, and now, 6 months removed from a war that will be talked about for years, he's sitting at the top of the lightweight division with a decision to make that could define the rest of his legacy. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. The man many expected him to fight next, the brash, quick-tongued Scouser, who just delivered one of the most violent finishes of the year, isn't the fight Gaethje wants. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Let's rewind. Back in January, before anyone was talking about Ilia Topuria, before the words, UFC White House, meant anything to anyone, Justin Gaethje had a job to do. Paddy Pimblett stood across the cage from him in an interim title fight, and the doubters lined up behind Pimblett's flashy record and his growing star power. Gaethje was the forgotten veteran. The wear and tear on his face told the story of 100 wars, and people whispered that maybe, just maybe, this was the fight where Father Time finally caught up to him. Paddy Pimblett had other ideas about how that night would go. So did Gaethje. 4 or 5 rounds. Gaethje did what he has always done. He walked forward. He absorbed punishment that would end most men's nights early, and he gave back double. By the time the horn sounded, there was no doubt left in the building. The judges didn't need to deliberate long. Justin Gaethje, the so-called relic, the fighter people were ready to retire in their minds, had just battered the future of the lightweight division on the feet and taken home a unanimous decision. It wasn't just a win. It was a statement, and it set the stage for the most improbable chapter of his career. Because what came next changed everything. Gaethje didn't stop at Pimblett. He kept climbing, kept grinding, and eventually found himself standing across from Ilia Topuria, a man many considered unbeatable, a champion who talked like he already owned the sport's future. And in one of the most stunning upsets this sport has ever produced, Gaethje dethroned him. Not with luck, not with a lucky punch, a scramble. He did it the way he does everything, through sheer will, violence, and an unwillingness to accept anyone else's version of how the story should end. That performance didn't just shock the MMA world. It rippled out into locker rooms and gyms across every sport imaginable. And one of the people it hit hardest was the very man Gaethje had just beaten 6 months earlier. Paddy Pimblett has admitted, publicly, that the loss to Gaethje sent him into a dark place. Anyone who watched that fight knows exactly why. Getting hit like that, getting exposed like that in front of millions, breaks something in a fighter that doesn't heal overnight. But something changed for Pimblett when he watched Gaethje step into the cage against Topuria and refuse to lose. Watching the man who had just beaten him summon that kind of magic against an even bigger favorite gave Pimblett something he desperately needed. Perspective. Fuel. A reason to believe that getting knocked down doesn't mean staying down. And Pimblett used it. This past weekend at UFC 329, he didn't just win. He stole the entire show. A lightning-fast submission over Benoit St. Denis reminded everyone exactly why he was considered a contender in the first place. Just like that, Pimblett was back in the title conversation, riding a wave of momentum and redemption that felt custom-built for a rematch story. The kind of story fans love. The kind of story promoters dream about. 2 men, 1 brutal war behind them, a redemption arc practically writing itself, and a rematch that would sell itself before a single poster ever got printed. Except Justin Gaethje isn't interested in giving people what they expect. When asked directly whether he and Pimblett were somehow destined to
Paddy
run it
probably
back,
destined for each other now at this point.
destined for each other, like to fight again?
Yes.
No. He's, I think it's crazy what
Gaethje didn't hesitate. No mixed signals, no politician's answer. Just a flat, honest no. He's already beaten Pimblett. He's already proven what needed to be proven. And in Gaethje's mind, there's nothing left to settle in that particular rivalry. At least not right now. But don't mistake that lack of interest for disrespect. Gaethje made it clear he has nothing but appreciation for the way Pimblett has spoken about him since that January fight. The admission that watching Gaethje dethrone Topuria helped pull him out of a dark place clearly meant something. Because Gaethje understands better than almost anyone what it means to inspire people through pain, through struggle, through getting hit, and getting back up anyway. And it's not just Pimblett. Gaethje pointed to Rafael Fiziev, a man he's beaten twice, describing how those losses, as brutal as they were, seemed to reignite something in Fiziev's career. He even brought up heavyweight boxing champion Anthony Joshua, who has spoken about the lesson in humility that comes from watching a fight like the one Gaethje had with Topuria. A reminder that no matter how dominant you look on paper, real fighting has a way of humbling absolutely everyone. For Gaethje, that's the real power of what he does. It's not about padding his highlight reel or chasing the loudest rematch. It's about the raw, primal truth of one-on-one combat and what it reveals about the people who step into it. He called it humbling. He called it primal. And in typical Gaethje fashion, he called it freaking awesome. So where does that leave his future? For now, uncertain. Gaethje has already hinted that retirement crossed his mind after the biggest win of his career. But he's since made it clear the story isn't over yet. Don't expect him back in the Octagon anytime soon, though. By his own account, his next fight likely won't come until sometime in 2027. A timeline that will only add fuel to the speculation about who's next, who deserves the shot, and whether Paddy Pimblett will have to wait his turn behind other contenders desperate to test the man who just knocked off an empire. One thing is certain, Justin Gaethje isn't chasing rematches. He's chasing history, and after what he just did to Ilia Topuria, nobody in the lightweight division gets to demand anything from him. They just have to wait, and hope their name gets called when he's finally ready to fight again.